America is under attack. Sorry about the quality of the video. The video was not from a concerned liberal worried about the future of our union. It was a repost on Twitter by the former president himself to brag about never relinquishing power. And this was before the 2020 election. He publicly bragged about being in office forever. And when he didn't win in 2020, he used all of the powers at his disposal to try and overturn the election. Donald Trump does not care about nor understand the United States Constitution. America is under attack. When I say America is under attack, what do I mean? What do we mean by America or American? Are we simply referring to the people that come from the middle section of the North American continent? If that was the case, then why aren't the inhabitants of this landmass all united? All united under one flag. There is something beyond geography that keeps the American Union together. That guiding principle is the United States Constitution. It is the backbone of everything that happens in this country. All our laws, all of our rights, our unalienable rights, all stem from this document. It is the only thing that unifies America, that brings us all together for a common cause and gives us a guiding vision. Every official of the government must swear an oath to the United States Constitution. Not an oath to America, but an oath to the Constitution. And Donald Trump doesn't understand why. And now Donald Trump, one of the main frontrunners to take an oath to uphold that Constitution in the highest office of the land. Not only has he probably never read the document, and by read I mean actually comprehend everything it says and what it means and why it says that. Not only has he never read it, he's not afraid to publicly mock it, to use it as the butt of the joke. On several occasions, he has suggested getting rid of it altogether.
Vote early, vote absentee, vote on election day. I don't care how, but you have to get out and vote. And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You got to get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not going to have to vote.
And of course, there are his social media posts. This one from Truth Social. A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Termination of all rules and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Trump acts like George Washington, leading his MAGA followers across the frozen Delaware, only instead of a garrison of Hessians on the other side, Trump and his followers are leading a stealth ambush upon the very Constitution itself. And I'm just going to comment, if there's no Constitution, there are no amendments, no free speech. The government has the complete freedom to ban interracial marriages. There's no Second Amendment. The government will be able to take all of our weapons. It's ironic. Most of the people that support Trump support the Second Amendment, even though Trump does not support the Constitution, which means he does not support the Second Amendment. The Constitution is under attack. America is under attack. And so let's go through a brief preview of how Trump has failed to defend the Constitution. To prevent this video from getting too dry, I will try and keep the legal references to a minimum, but I will have to regularly quote the main document of this video, the Constitution. In 2018, Trump imposed a 25% steel tariff and a 10% aluminum tariff on almost every country around the world. He claimed this would open up trade to American steel. This clearly violates Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1, that says Congress has the sole power to lay and collect taxes and tariffs. Congress has slightly delegated the tariff process to the executive branch. I'm thinking World War I. How is this possible? Well, under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, it allows a president to adjust the imports of goods and services if they threaten national security. But here's the thing. The U.S. military's need for steel is only 3% of domestic production, which means that the U.S. military can source all of its steel domestically. So it becomes unclear how around 25% and 10% were calculated at all. Furthermore, since the military can source its steel domestically, what does this have to do with national security? Trump is encroaching on the powers invested in Congress just to anger our trading partners, with no clear national security or economic impact. He then further initiated a trade war with China, claiming it would help the trade deficit. But the United States was hit with retaliatory tariffs that were even worse than the tariffs we placed on China. And the U.S. trade deficit has only increased since these tariffs were put into place. These tariffs hurt the American workers and hurt the American economy more than they help anything else. One example is the pork industry. Just prior to the pandemic, swine flu was rampant in China, and they had to cull most of their pork industry. While this was a great opportunity for American farmers to come in and sell their pork. Well, because of the trade war initiated by Trump, China entirely cut pork imports from the United States, instead sourcing their pork from Europe. Trump then grovels at the feet of Xi Jinping. Trump's tariffs do nothing when he suckers up to the most powerful person in the Chinese economy.
Don't forget, China's great, and Xi is a great gentleman. He's now president for life. President for life. No, he's great. Hey, look, he was able to do that. I think it's great. Maybe we'll have to give that a shot someday. He's the most powerful president in 100 years, person in the 100 years in China. It's great. And he treated us tremendously well when I went over there.
Wow. The scariest part of this video may be the audience applauding being president for life so enthusiastically. He acts like a king. Honestly, who does this man think he is? King George III? He grovels at the feet of foreign dictators. He then tariffs the Chinese economy, hurting their workers and those of the lower classes. And then he suckers up to the autocrat who pulls all the strings of their economy. This guy clearly only cares about his personal wealth, his business opportunities, at the expense of the Union. Let's move on to immigration. One of Donald Trump's main talking points during the 2024 presidential election was how his opponent, Kamala Harris, was supposed to single-handedly fix the immigration problem as vice president. This clearly demonstrates his lack of understanding of the Constitution and his entire campaign's lack of understanding of the Constitution and the precedent of the last 140 years. For the first 100 years of the United States history, immigration was not considered at all. People from all over the world were free to immigrate here, just as long as they could get here. The precedent of the last 140 years has clearly presented that Congress is responsible for exercising power over immigration. In Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, Congress has the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations. Under Clause 4, Congress has the power to establish a uniform rule of naturalization. Naturalization is the process a foreign alien becomes a United States citizen. Yes, the United States Constitution provides a path to citizenship, and it is under the powers of Congress to determine the citizenship. That is why the precedent of the last 140 years, when Congress actually started regulating the immigration of persons into the United States, the precedent has been that Congress has the main power to regulate immigration. States have zero rights when it comes to immigration. They cannot change the immigration laws at all. So all immigration laws must be done at the federal level. And it was just February of this year, 2024, there was a bill before Congress concerning the border, and Donald Trump told the House Republicans to drop the bill. Donald Trump is the one obstructing Congress from doing anything on the border. It looks like Donald Trump is acting as the border czar. And then he blames his opponent for immigration, when he is responsible for this Congress not passing any legislation on immigration. Considering this is a brand new channel and I have 0 subscribers, this video has exceeded its production limit. I will be releasing a part 2 before the election. Please like, subscribe. With your help, I hope to get this channel going strong. I will just leave you with this. After the results of the 2020 election were in, Trump spent the next 2 months, November and December, completely denying the election results. He rallied his supporters. He convinced them that it was a stolen election. From no other source did this emanate. No proof ever emerged. The only reason anyone was present outside the Capitol on January 6th was because Donald Trump refused to uphold the Constitution.
Irrespective of the indictment, I want the American people to know that I had no right to overturn the election. And then on that day, President Trump asked me to put him over the Constitution. But I chose the Constitution, and I always will. Anyone who puts himself over the Constitution should never be President of the United States. And anyone who asks someone else to put themselves over the Constitution should never be President of the United States again. What the President maintained that day, and frankly has said over and over again over the last 2.5 years, is completely false. I dismissed it out of hand, but sadly the President was surrounded by a group of crackpot lawyers that kept telling him what his itching ears wanted to hear. And I had hoped that on this matter of January 6th that it wouldn't come to this, because I do believe that this is going to further ignite the divide in the country. It'll be up to the government now to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this actually represented criminal activity. But what I want the American people to know is that I know in my heart of hearts that I did my duty under the Constitution that day.
Then I have an Article 2 where I have the right to do whatever I want as president, but I don't even talk about that.
It's a thing called Article 2. Nobody ever mentions Article 2.
More importantly, Article 2 allows me to do whatever I want. Article 2 would have allowed me to fire him.
So it sounds
but
like
I wasn't going to fire. You know why? Because I watched Richard Nixon go around firing everybody, and that didn't work out too well. So very simply, Article 2 would allow me to do.
I could have done anything I wanted. I don't even bring it up because we don't even get there. Absolutely, I have Article 2.
It gives me all of these rights at a level that nobody has ever seen before. We don't even talk about Article 2. So, they ruled no collusion, no obstruction. Very simple.
I don't think you people with this phony emoluments clause, and by the way, I would say that it's cost me anywhere from $2 to $5 billion to be president. And that's okay, between what I lose and what I could have made. I would have made a fortune. If I just ran my business, I was doing it really well. I have a great business. I have the best properties.